feeling like I'm in that end zone. I got my homies in a no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.
What is happening, people, and welcome back to In the End Zone UK, your home for all things NFL and much, much more. Week 11 is done, and there is only one way to describe it. Football is loco. As for the first time ever, the NFL went international to Spain for a historic game in Madrid at this Santiago Bernabéu stadium or something like that. And the Commanders and Dolphins faced off in front of a packed Spanish crowd. Great for the Spanish fans to finally get NFL over in Europe, outside of the UK and Ireland. So we'll be talking about that game a little bit later. Also this week, some of the In the End Zone crew made the trip out. This was not to Spain though, this was to Hickory's Nottingham. Very different, but to watch the Spanish game live, wings in one hand, beer in the other, trying to speak fluent NFL Spanish. We definitely failed, but it was a great day out, and we were there with some of our listeners and collaborators. Shout out to John Fox, aka our music lyricist who does the In the End Zone UK intro song. Always a pleasure to hang with him. Hopefully going to get him on the podcast again very, very soon. However, with me today, as always, is El Grando Devo, aka Big Dave, representing the Thai Tonys. That's definitely not Spanish, but I did my best. Dave, how are you doing?
Buenos dias.
Comments?
Tachos. Pizzeria.
Italian.
Dog.
How you doing, Dave?
I'm alright.
Good.
A few beers yesterday. All good.
Yeah, it was nice, wasn't it?
Twas.
Nice. Hickory's is a good spot to watch football, though, right?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, the food in there is banging as well. I had the meat, which I can't remember what it's called now. Brisket. Twas delicious.
Yeah. Briskets, wings, chicken, steaks, cornbreads, you name it. All the American beers. Lovely stuff. Also with us is Pequeno Queso Paca, the little cheesy packer. Camo, what's going on?
Yeah, sound, man. Sound. Gutted that I missed the old Nottingham meetup, but I was having a family day with the brother and niece and nephew and all things like that. But sounds like a great day out.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. For anybody who's in and around the north of the UK, for some reason, most of the restaurants are in the north. Hickory's is the place to be for NFL on Sundays, on game days, in the playoffs, and even Super Bowls. So shout out to them. We've collaborated with them in the past, and we are spending our Super Bowl in Hickory's West Bridgford in Nottingham this year. So that should be fun. So good. We're all on the pod. Nice to have the dream team back together. No more Spanish because I can't speak it. But we'll get right into the first segment, which is the game of the week. And this week, boys, the game of the week had everything. High scoring, massive plays. Get this, 9 lead changes in this game, which means it was back and forth the whole way. And if that's not enough, a bit of history witnessed as well. The second time ever that a player has recorded 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. Mr. Josh Allen, the only other player to have ever done that before, is Josh Allen. So he's done it twice. Nobody's ever done it at any time in the NFL ever, since, before or after. But the game was Bills Buccaneers. And I guess for the neutral, this was a hell of a game. Bills 44, Buccaneers 32. Lots of points. Like I say, lots of Josh Allen doing special things. Lots of Josh Allen doing some not so special things. But this was a cool one to start the week off in a 6 o'clock time. So the early game slot window. Definitely the best game of that window. And also had, kind of big playoff implications. So Big Dave, El Grando Devo, take us through the Buffalo Bills against the Buccaneers. Really enjoyed watching this one, actually. It was one that kept me entertained.
Yeah, he almost had the 3x3x3 if he'd have thrown one more interception. Josh Allen.
That's true.
Threw 2 picks, and one of them could be the worst thing I've ever seen in how much Will Levis play last year. It was a backpedal throw into the middle of the nothingness, apart from the defender. in his end zone, which was funny to see because I thought they started off El Crapo, the Bills, and I did not think the game was going to end up how it ended up. But by the night, it was a good game. Not one lick of defense was played. The Bills managed 97 rushing yards to the Bucs 202.
Wow.
Dare say I could get 10 yards against the Bills defensive line.
Yeah, it looks porous.
Yeah,
So to speak.
yeah. I mean, they're missing the main man, aren't they? Oliver, yeah. Like he's such a force in the middle, stopping the run. And I think that probably hurt him a little bit here. I think the game was a lot closer than the scoreline sort of says. I think that the Bills sort of like put it on in the last sort of 5 minutes, did they?
Yeah.
It was a close game. Like there's so many back and forths, but what a game to watch.
Was 9 lead changes. Sorry. 9 lead changes is not normal in any game, and to see that happen just shows what kind of a game it was. Down in the fourth, scored an extra 13 points, which is it's not normally what you see when the team is already got a lead going into the fourth quarter. But I think that they were respecting the fact that Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers have always got a shot at scoring, and they wanted to put the foot on that neck and really push it. But as you said, Dave, like the game started in a way that I think Josh Allen needed to have like a turn him off, turn him back on again, full reset scenario, because he did not start well. Those couple of interceptions were not good, but he did everything and much more to come and break records again. I mean, Christ, we don't sign or slap people from the game of the week, but you kind of, even with the interceptions, can't take away a quarterback having 3 touchdowns through the air, 3 touchdowns on the ground. That is pretty special.
Yeah, he's unbelievable in it as a quarterback. If only he had the stuff around him that Joe Burrow's got, or even like a Nico Collins. He's got nobody, has he, to throw to, and that's probably why he has to carry the team.
Yeah,
he had Stephon Diggs for years, didn't he? So at that point, they didn't have a run game. Now they have a bit more of a run game, but no one to throw to. It just shows you how hard it is to build a balanced roster. But
what did you make of this one, Camo? It's a good point.
Yeah, it was a good game. I wanted the Bucs to win, so I was a bit disappointed on that front. But you can't take it away when there's 9 lead changes. It's back and forth, isn't it? It was anyone's game up until sort of midway through that fourth quarter. And I mean, I know we don't slap or sign anyone from this game, but Sean Tucker for the Bucs having 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. My question is, who is he?
I've honestly, I couldn't tell you that I've heard of him before this week. Somehow ended up in somebody's fantasy team in our league and severely did some punishment on the player that he was playing, because I think he had almost 200 all-purpose scrimmage yards and 3 touchdowns. Like that is a day in itself. But I probably wouldn't have signed him only because, like you say, Cam, don't know who he is.
No, but I don't know if that makes him more impressive or not. I think looking at the stats, I expected more from Baker. Like, his stats don't read particularly like too exciting, considering there was that many lead changes, etc. in this game. It sort of all went through that Tucker.
It did, but a lot of it was through Baker, in terms of there was a lot of sort of check down screens. There was a lovely wheel route that he scored his receiving touchdown on, where the ball was thrown perfectly by Baker Mayfield. It just laid it out in front of him, didn't have to break stride. So yeah, as much as it was a ground game, it was definitely set up by. I thought Baker played a good game. He did, he did what Baker does, which is put his body on the line a little bit.
I was about to say, I think he took too many hits. Like, he definitely puts himself out there, doesn't he? And it's the appeal of Baker. I appreciate what he does, but yeah, that one
you're playing Josh Allen,
really end up badly.
Yeah, you're playing Josh Allen, aren't you, at the end of the day? So Josh Allen's going to put his much larger body on the line. But Baker did what he needs to do. He had an interception, one less than Josh Allen. He had a touchdown through the air, touchdown on the ground. They're also operating I wouldn't say handcuffed at this point, but a little bit. Like the Bucs have been making good with very little, I think, for a large part of the season. Emeka Egbuka, whilst amazing and a seemingly what will be a generational receiver for years to come, seemingly is only still a rookie. You know, he has only proven himself in 10 games so far this year, and you know, he can potentially be easily shut down. Maybe his football awareness and smarts aren't quite there for the NFL. Outside of that, no Godwin, no Mike Evans. Their best tight end is Cade Otton, who is what I would call a safe pair of hands. Certainly won't call him electric. Baker Mayfield, Dave, you're a big fan of Baker. Baker touchdown maker is your nickname for him. But I guess with the implications of this game, the Bills go to 7-3. Bucs now 4-6-4. Where do you think Baker Mayfield stands, Dave, in terms of like rest of the season, potential playoffs, potential Super Bowl scenario that was being discussed a bit earlier in the season?
Yeah, I think Super Bowl is a bit of a wild thought. I don't think the team's there. Like you say, outside of Ibuka at the minute, they've got Sterling Shepard, who's been in the league for 100,000 years. He was catching passes from Eli Manning.
Yeah.
That's how long he's been in the league. I do quite like him, though. He's a very good slot receiver.
Yeah.
But, yeah, ultimately, do I think the Bucs still win the NFC South? Yes. Although the Panthers are on this resurgent run that they're on at the minute, I still think that the Bucs will probably pip them to the post.
They're the better team, I think, aren't they, at the moment? They're the better complete team.
Yeah, although definitely not to take anything away from the Panthers because they are playing relatively good football. But the Bucs, I think the Bucs, if you can hang around with the Bills until sort of the last 5-6 minutes of the game, then you're probably in a good place.
Yeah, agreed.
And stats wise, I guess, it doesn't look great, but when you're running the ball, when you're putting 200 yards rushing on a team, you don't really need to throw the ball, do you? And I think because it was so close throughout the game, they could lean on that running game. You didn't need to get behind him and play sort of like hero ball, throwing the ball 50 times or whatever. So I do think the Bucs are a good team. I just don't necessarily think they're there yet, especially with the wide receivers they've got out.
Yeah. Yeah, the injuries make a big difference. Mike Evans is a perennial 1,000-yard receiver every single week, and Chris Godwin, if healthy, is a great pair of hands to play in and out of the slot. So maybe they can get a bit healthier. I know they're not going to get Mike Evans back, but they might get Godwin back, and that might help them make a final push. And then the Bills, Camo, they're now 7-3. They are trailing the New England Patriots, who are also on an amazing run to start the season. Do you think that the Bills can make that difference up and win the division, or do you think that the Bills are maybe... I guess my question is, who is more of a contender in your eyes for a deep playoff run, Bills or Patriots right now in that division?
Bills will go deeper in the playoffs, but I think Pats win the division.
Sure.
Because looking at the teams the Pats have got left to play, they could easily just coast through the rest of the season, take that top spot. But on a singular game basis, when you're talking playoffs, I think the Bills will just have a better performance. Josh Allen could have one of his special days and just beat any team. So I expect the Pats to win the division, but the Bills to be a bigger threat in the playoffs.
Okay, nice. And I guess to finish on the game of the week scenario, the fact that Josh Allen has had 3 touchdowns through the air, 3 touchdowns running, not once but twice, and is the only human being to ever do it in the NFL. That is, I think it's a little bit wild. If you think how many games have been played over the course of time versus some of the players that have played them, dual running quarterbacks like Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, and then throwing in those that like Jalen Hurts, who can move with the legs, Patrick Mahomes, who can move with his legs. I think it's quite surprising that stat exists. I know it's 6 touchdowns, which is a hell of a lot, but I think, Dave, are you surprised that only one player has ever done that and Josh Allen's actually done it twice?
I mean, 6, if you probably went through the list of people that have actually scored, or quarterbacks that have scored 6 touchdowns in a game, it'd probably be quite a small list. I'm not too sure. I think For me, it don't mean anything.
No.
I don't really care. Them
Yeah.
them kind of touchdowns that are like QB sneaks or short little runs into the end zone, they kind of annoy me. I get why they do them, obviously, because you want to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean anything to me. I don't think it's that. I mean, it's impressive that he scored 6 touchdowns. I'm not taking that away from him. But I don't look at that stat. If I was scrolling through a list of like pictures on like the meme pages, and if that came up, I'd probably just be like, oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
Josh Allen. To me.
Josh Allen has scored the most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback in history.
Yeah. They're just going to keep getting them. Yeah. Those records will keep getting beat now because that's such a big part of like being a quarterback. You know, in today's game, you need to be able to take them short yardage things. Like 10 years ago, Rodgers wasn't doing it, Brady wasn't doing it, Manning wasn't doing it. I just think it's a new thing now. Like, I bet if you look at the list of QBs that have scored rushing touchdowns, they're all from the last probably 5 years. That lead it, which is outrageous because the league's been around 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think there's that element to it. And I also think that a lot of the NFL seems cyclical, if that's a word, or circular in terms of time is a flat circle and things come back around, where there was a time in sort of some age where Michael Vick and there was a few running quarterbacks that would do that. But maybe it's just more of a sign, like what you said, of the quarterback position becoming way more athletic, and you're not like a 260 pound, 6'6" quarterback standing, bouncing in the pocket, shrugging people off, sacking you. You're now a dynamic part of the offense that the defense need to account for that extra man. So it probably is exactly what you said, Dave, is that plays perfectly into the new style of football, reinventing, you know, against the current defensive schemes that are existing to stop pocket passes, I guess.
Yeah, I just look at the list here. Josh Allen, Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts are the top 3.
Are they?
Yeah.
Not even Lamar. That's interesting.
No, Lamar's 12th.
Wow. Who else is, just out of curiosity, who else is in that list?
Yeah, I mean, it is Steve Young next. He had 43, but the gap is like Jalen Hurts has scored 61 in 87 games.
60 tush pushers, 1 run.
How many tush pushes? Yeah.
Yeah, well, 61 in... He's 61, 87 games, and he's got 3,400 rushing yards, averages 4.5 yards per attempt. Cam Newton has got 5,500 rushing yards. Josh Allen's got 4,500. But Josh Allen's played 40 more games than Jalen Hurts, and he's only 14 ahead of him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It seems very, very in their game to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of them obviously will be a tush push.
Yeah.
But
okay. Nice. Yeah. So I mean, like you said, kudos to him for doing it, but whether that, like every rule, continues to get broken as we move through the new NFL. Nice. And that was game of the week. Buffalo Bills go to 7-3, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to 6-4, 44 to the Bills, 32 to Tampa. Moving into our second segment, a fan favourite, one of our favourites, if not our favourite, we are going into slap or sign. And for those new listeners out there, each of us picked 2 players, one from the AFC, one from the NFC, to slap if they've had a particular bad game, one from the AFC, one from the NFC to sign if they've had a great game, because we want them on our own teams. So, Camo, take us into the NFC, please, and give me your NFC sign for the week. We want to know who has impressed you this week, who's done really well, who are you signing?
So this week, I am signing Christian McCaffrey from the 49ers. And whilst, yes, he had another good game this week, he had 2 touchdowns in a pretty blowout game.
He had 3. I thought he had 3.
Did he get a receiving one as well?
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had 81 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns there. But whilst he obviously had a very good week this week in a blowout 41-22 win over the Cardinals, we've mentioned it so many times in this podcast about how banged up the Niners are. The one consistent they've had this season, which really surprised me, is McCaffrey. He's been available all season long and has produced sort of all season. So it's a bit of a kudos to him for actually, do you know what, being that reliable back for them in a time when they've got injuries left, right and centre. And he's had his own injuries year in, year out recently. But I mean, this game opened up with, was it a Sky Moore 99-yard kick return, which McCaffrey then punched in from the 1 yard line. And the Niners just sort of went from there. They obviously had Brock Purdy back from injury for this game. I was very close to signing George Kittle again, because what that man can do at tight end is pretty great, and he's just the energy that this team needs. But like I say, McCaffrey, he just does everything for them. He got a second rushing one late in the game, and he's a special back, and he's just been doing it year in, year out. So yeah, really impressed with him. The Niners are such a tricky, weird team, because the only thing they've done consistently this season is be inconsistent. I think for the last 9 games they've gone win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. They just can't put anything. They just can't stack anything together. But even still, they're 7-4 in obviously a very, very tough division right now. Getting players back on offense, at least. Yeah, they're a good looking team. Brock Purdy had 3 touchdowns, 200 yards in his comeback, and yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah. I think that is we'll talk about CMC quickly first. Christian McCaffrey obviously has been very, very efficient this year for the Niners. He's not had that big explosive play at all this year. I think his longest run on the ground has been 17 yards. And through the air, he's been a nightmare to match up in the slot, especially at the goal line. So he's a massive red zone threat because he's burst so quick, and technically he could play a slot receiver at 24/7 if he wanted to. But yeah, you're right, Cam, in the fact that if this was an accumulation sign, fair one. But equally in this game, 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground. His first touch was a touchdown, which is annoying, like you say, off the back of a kick return. But there's just no stopping this guy. He's football smarts, the way he gets open in zones, the way he runs the ball. I think the only thing you can say about him, which I do genuinely believe, I feel like he's lost a bit of a burst. Like, I don't think he's got like the CMC top end speed that he used to have at the Panthers, because he used to be able to hit a gap and fly through it, whereas now he gets caught up, maybe a few injuries playing against him. But so CMC, I mean, I've got him in fantasy, and it's a lovely thing to watch when you're seeing him going for 3 touchdowns. But I think also in this game, it reigned pretty true pretty early that as good as Mac Jones is, I think they enjoyed having Brock Purdy back. He was also really efficient, only missed 6 passes, 3 touchdowns, no picks, like passer rating of 133, very, very efficient, opening up George Kittle as he does. They've got a great relationship. So, I mean, the inconsistency, I've not really seen the inconsistency with the Niners, so I'd probably challenge that and say, as much as they've lost 4 games and they've been sort of maybe one on, one off, they've won 7. I feel like they have built themselves to be fairly consistent given the avalanche of issues they've had to face, mainly injuries. So an incredibly well-coached team, and putting a hurting on the Cardinals. We've not really said anything about them. They've chose to roll with Jacoby Brissett. I mean, Brissett threw for 450 yards. So yeah.
47 completion. He set an NFL record. Nobody's ever had 47 completions before.
Is that what he had? 47 completions.
Yep.
Wow. I mean,
the Cardinals, 47 of 57. He missed 10 passes in 57. Well, he didn't. He missed 8 and 2 got picked off.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he missed them as well, but maybe he meant to throw him to their play. But Michael Wilson, he had 185 yards receiving for the Cardinals. And then Trey McBride had 115 and a touchdown. They played a great game. They just seem to be lacking so many. Like, Buda Baker's looking old, man.
He is
on their back end. But Jacoby Brissett, like, he's come in there and he's given them the juice. There's no way they would put up 22 points if Kyler Murray was quarterbacking them.
No.
Well, they're in a bit of a quandary as well. them and the Dolphins.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do? I don't think
know.
I think we said it on the last week podcast. The end game is not, you don't roll with Jacoby Brissett at the end of the day. Like, as good as he might be playing, he's not your future because I don't even know how old he is. It feels like he's been in the league donkey's years. I remember going to Seattle to watch him play the Seahawks in what must have been 2012 or 2014, maybe. I can't remember, but
he's 32. He's not actually that old.
No,
he's younger than Russell Wilson.
Yeah. So
I don't know, like, if 32 years old, say you put some players around him for 3 years and try and build something for 3 years, because I bet he'll be getting paid pennies.
It's probably, maybe it leans into the conversation that we were all having last week about maybe they still do draft a quarterback, but you don't rush to push him in. Maybe you draft somebody to sit behind Jacoby for maybe 2 years and learn the ways of the NFL. Maybe they don't have to go, they're going to have a pretty high pick by the looks of it, but they're not going to have anything near the top pick. Maybe they go with one of those sort of lesser known first round quarterbacks, or even let one fall into the second and take somebody who they've got maybe a higher ceiling off and still roll with. The only way I can see being comfortable rolling with Jacoby Brissett is if you acknowledge that he's not your, 10-year, he's not your 10-year plan.
Yeah. But I mean, you could trade Murray and trade up into the top and get that quarterback if you think there's one of them that's worth it. There's nothing wrong with giving up 2 first-round picks if you think that guy is your guy for the next 15 years. And I bet Brissett's a gleaming quarterback to have somebody sit behind, because he's a steady dude, and he's played the backup role. He really experienced, played behind Tom Brady, like really experienced guy who he looks way more capable than Kyler Murray does.
He does, yeah.
But
no, fair.
Last thing on Christian McCaffrey, is he a Hall of Famer?
For me, no.
Ooh, for me, I think he might be. I feel like the impact that he's had on the league in his window of being a running back, I feel like he's name within that window of time since he came in the league, name a better running back that's had more of an impact on a particular team than Christian McCaffrey. I'm not saying there isn't one. I think there's maybe 2 or 3, but he's up there. Got to be.
I think he's got more of a reputation as a fantasy running back than an actual running back. I'm just looking at he's only had 4 seasons of 1,000 yards.
Rushing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was his receiving? Because he's had every year like 2,000 yards, hasn't he? Or something like that.
I mean, not really, like 1,000 combined. He's had so many seasons, like 2017, 400 rushing yards, 2020, 200, 2021, 400, 2022, 300 for the season. And I know he's injured all the time, and I think that's what will kill him in the end. 202 rushing yards last year, playing 4 games. There's so many times he's played in 3 games, 7 games, 6 games, 4 games, 11, 7.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he'll be remembered by. He had the elite season, did he? Where he had, what did he have when he was the offensive player of the year? 1,400 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, and 507 receiving touchdowns. He's obviously a great player, and I'm not trying to poo-poo him. I'm just trying to say that, like,
no, it makes a good
thing. In 9 years, having 7,000 rushing yards isn't actually that elite.
No, you make a good point.
When you think about players like Alvin Kamara, who plays a very similar position to him, he's never had them like 5 tutty games, has he? Like a Jonathan Taylor, or that elite season like Saquon had last year with 2,000 rushing yards.
No, you're right, and he's not got the ring either. He's been in contention. He's been in contention many a time, but never actually gone and done it. So yeah, you're probably right. It's weird, it's just those players that have got that like mystical golden glow around them. That
when he's one of them.
Yeah, when you think of McCaffrey, you think elite. You think special. Like, yeah, okay. Speaking of elite, Dave, where are you going for your NFL NFC sign?
I mean, I don't think this dude's elite by any stretch of the imagination. But I am signing Teteroa McMillan.
Okay, nice.
From the Panthers.
Good.
Yeah,
that links with me. So just put it out there. I'm signing Bryce Young, but you take us through Tet first.
Okay, yeah, no, Bryce was very, very, very nearly up there because I do think he's absolutely turned the corner. I didn't think this was actually a great game to watch. It surprised me how little was actually shown of it on the red zone. I didn't think there was that much of it. But hey ho, the Panthers won 30-27. But Tetaroa McMillan had 8 receptions, 130 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. He just seems to be. Do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Drake London.
Okay.
He's very rangy, can kind of make them. He's got to be like 6'4", 6'5", and he's massive.
Oh, he's
When you see him
6'5",
stood next. I mean, when you see him still, it's a Bryce Young. Maybe I'd probably look like Drake London as well. But he's a big dude, and he's got that massive. There's certain players that stick out to me that through the years have kind of like had the ability what he seems to be showing. And I know he's very young into his NFL career, but like Randy Moss, Julio Jones, do you know, like really tall, long arms, Mike Evans.
I was literally about to say he's like a Mexican Mike Evans.
Yeah, and he can just make all those. And do you know who else I'd throw in there? T. Higgins. I think he's very similar to this.
Yeah.
Can make like real weird contested catches, just kind of like skinny bodies, but like massive, humongous hands because they're all tall as F. But he just seems to be like maybe he's what the Panthers were missing, as in that. I think he is what people thought Marvin Harrison was going to be, Junior.
Yes, yeah,
and he's obviously not that. Although he does look way better with Jacoby Brissett. I think Bryce Young needed that. He needed a guy that he can just launch one up to and hope for the best. And he's got a guy who can probably 7 times out of 10 bring it in for you. And that's exactly what you need. And that's what he got this week. It was a real, real close game. Obviously, it went into overtime. In fact, the overtime was a bit of a bummer, I want it to be fair. But
it was a field goal to win it.
Yeah.
It was still a good game. 30 to the Panthers, 27 to the Falcons. The Panthers have owned the Falcons this year, swept them. They shut them out with 30 points to 0 last game, and then put another 30 on them, but allowed 27 this time. But still, a sweep is a sweep.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. This is what kind of gives me hope as a Titans fan. You know, the Panthers were garbage for basically since probably Cam Newton left.
Yeah,
but they've slowly pieced it together, bringing in obviously Bryce Young, then new running backs, new wide receivers, new offensive linemen, and they've slowly built this team that they're 6-5. They've got the same record as the Bucs.
Yeah, that is wild. That is wild. And I guess sorry, go on, Dave.
No, go on. I was going to say.
Yeah, I was just going to carry on about the Panthers and just say that my sign is Bryce Young, who had an absolute day, and he's been slapped a few times this year as well. So he's clearly not, all there right now, but you don't just luckily have a 448-yard, 3 touchdown, no interception, passer rating of 123 game. That's not luck. You can win a game. Anybody can do a Michael Penis Jr. and throw for 175 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and call that a good game with a passer rating of 112. You don't luck your way into 448 yards passing, and I think that is why I'm signing him to start with, is that, one, Bryce Young is showing some element of the talent that made him a first round, but also the fact that they've not moved away from him. Yes, they've rolled in Dalton when he's not been healthy or when he's been in a bit of a funk, but the fact that they've continued to roll with him, and as you said, Dave, alluding to the Titans, he's had very little support over the last couple of seasons and was drafted into a really tough position where his best receiver was like Adam Thielen, who's older than my dad. So I think that just, again, giving players time and allow them to become who they need to become, given experience and game time and being able to see defenses and whatever, throwing Ted McMillan into that is just one of those where you go, oh, like you say, maybe that's what, that's one of the pieces he was missing to take him from a bottom 3 quarterback to a mid-tier quarterback. And so then what is he missing to take him from a mid-tier to a, above average quarterback? And maybe that's what the next draft is about, But nevertheless, the Panthers beating the Falcons, who are one of the most wobbly teams in the NFL, and to go in now with a positive record, 6-5, that's all to play for. The Falcons and the Saints are eating ass at the moment in the South. It's really, that sounds more dirty than I meant it to, but they really are. They really are.
Okay, so we've obviously slated Bryce Young a number of times on this podcast.
Not true. Would never have a bad word said about him.
Nah, yeah, man's a hero. Get it. But
You slapped him last week.
he was probably shite last week. Obviously, there was that whole they cocked up drafting him over the Texans at 2, taking CJ Stroud. I don't think there's anything in it. Obviously, I know Stroud's not playing right now. He's concussed, whatever. He had obviously that amazing rookie season, which is where the whole noise came from. Since then, it's not been great.
It's evening out. That is for sure. I will say that, Cam. It's evening out. Whether I would still take Bryce Young over CJ Stroud, I think I would not. But it's definitely on its way to evening out. And this season is definitely not helping the Texans. So I'm
not saying I'd take Bryce Young over CJ Stroud.
Okay.
But you could only really tell these things a number of years down the road, right?
Yes.
Like so many teams, so many players have a good season. The next season, nothing. So it's just, you've got to give these things time.
You do. And we do have a number of Panthers fans that are listeners, because I get messages off them. And so for all those committed listeners that have taken the slaps and the torment of the Panthers, I can now firmly say you're on the up. You're on the up, because Bryce Young has shown something, at least in this game, against a defense that's not. It's not bad. It's not consistent, but it's not bad. They've got some great pieces on that defense in Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell. The pass rush has been operating a bit nicer. Cade Ellis is a great linebacker. So to beat these guys takes more than luck. So, and to beat him twice, home and away. So yeah, you've got something to fight for, something to play for, and Bryce Young just might be that guy. Keep building. Just like Cam Ward might be that guy in Tennessee. Just needs the right.
They're half a game away from being top of their division.
Yeah.
It's a loss. That's it.
Totally. Right. We stay in the AFC. Sorry. We stay in the NFC, and I want slaps. And Dave, I'm mixing it up. I'm coming to you first for your slap. Who are you giving the good or AKA bad news?
You're not going to like it. It's Sam Darnold.
I was waiting for it.
And what I'll say is, I will say my bit about Sam Darnold very shortly, and then I'll let you go on about the game, because obviously it's your team. And in fact, I'll tell you the only reason I'm slapping him is because I don't think he necessarily played badly. 4 interceptions, and you only lost by 2 points. And I think that's why I'm slapping him. I'm slapping him out of frustration that he's basically given them 4 extra possessions. They've converted that into 2 points.
Yeah.
Without them interceptions, you beat probably the team that I think from the NFC is going to probably get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's maybe a little bit more down on the Rams and maybe a bit more up on you.
Which is odd, isn't it, for a loss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do think the game was relatively close, as in terms of overall play from both teams. Just them 4 stinky picks.
I mean, feel free, because I nearly did, but I'll tell you why I didn't slap Sam Darnold in a minute. But you can feel free to say what you need to say if it's worth saying. I get your point in relation to how close the game was, but 4 picks is nearly unforgivable.
Well, that's it. And I mean, I think the reason he's getting slapped isn't necessarily because of his play. It's because I feel like he lost the game. Yeah, he gave the game away. He didn't lose the game, because obviously there's a lot that goes into a game, but I feel like he gave the game away. He gave the Rams the opportunity 4 times to put you away. So that's why I'm slapping him. Not for his play, because big fan of the Ginger Prince, just because I think he gave away a game that was there to be won.
Yeah, for sure. Camo, anything on this one? Obviously, I haven't got massive praise to sing of my team right now, but I've got an opinion. So what do you think to Sammy D's 4 INTs?
That is ultimately what lost you the game. Your defense, I think, done amazing. The Rams being at home, I think, maybe had a part to play in it. But no, I agree with Dave. I think the Rams are the best, most complete team in the NFC. And you took them close. And as I've been there in those losses before, where it's like, yeah, there's some things you can take from that loss. Ultimately, it is a loss, which obviously when you're going off a record-based thing, but it's one game. Just you've got a nice bounce back next week, and yeah, well done the Rams for getting the win. But they were sort of given 4 extra possessions, which they were going to make the most of at some point, and that's what's done it from.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, for in terms of the tail of the tape, the game, the LA Rams beat the Seattle Seahawks 21-19. Came down to a 2-point game in which the Seahawks sort of managed to drive themselves in the final minute into field goal range, if you can call 61 yards range. I don't call 61 yards range unless you've got, Cam Little or Justin Tucker or somebody like that. But Jason Myers is a pretty good kicker. But last second field goal, missed. Rams win 21-19. And the tail of the game ultimately was those either forced or unforced errors from Sammy Darnold. And I think they are unforgivable. I didn't slap him because I don't want to turn on my quarterback, who ultimately had more yards than Matthew Stafford, was more efficient in ways than Matthew Stafford was during the game, just made more crucial errors in the game. And they were crucial. Like you both said, you can't give the ball away 4 times and expect to win, especially when the Rams, I'm kind of sick of seeing it, and this is probably going to be my only defense. I'm kind of sick of seeing the Seahawks defense hold out so frequently and force teams to go on 4th down so frequently. And it's because we bend but don't break. And it just happens so much. It's happening all over the NFL. But I've obviously been watching the Seahawks intently for all season. The Rams, the Cardinals, forced into positions on defense where you don't normally go for it, but you feel like you have to score because of the amount of time that either the drive's taken or whatever. And either way, a 14-point hole to get into with the Rams is not easy, because Dave, they were my pick, of the game. I actually thought they were gonna really, really punish us, just because I feel like I can't find the weakness in their game, but in some way, somehow, the Seahawks were able to shut down Matt Stafford in a way that he's not necessarily been shut down much this season. So I take something from that, but what I won't take is unforced errors. A couple of those picks that Sam Darnold threw, at least 2, he was not under pressure. He had 2 of the picks, somebody in his face. 2 of the picks, not under pressure. Threw bad balls. He missed an open receiver in Raheed Shaheed in the end zone, which just got tipped because it was underthrown. And more than anything, I think the credit goes to the Rams. They're so freaking well coached, man. So well coached on defense, so well coached on offense. Sean McVay is a wizard. And yeah, I can't really stick up for anything more than that. I think the fact that you said, Dave, coming out of this made you lower on the Rams and high on the Seahawks, I kind of understand that. It made me feel like if we can stifle an offense to the caliber of Matt Stafford, I mean, their longest drive was 30 yards because of all the turnovers. That was their longest drive to score. One of them was 5 yards. And so we gave them no field to have to move. And when they did have a field to move down, we stopped them. So yeah, I think it gave me much more promise in my defense, and it made me feel like there's a few things that we need to sort. Sammy Darnold's just seeing ghosts again when he plays the Rams, and you could almost tell he did not look confident, from the off, which was annoying. But it's one game, and that's how we've got to look at it. I had us losing to the Rams away and beating them at home, and that could still happen. Cool. Seahawks lose 19 to the Rams 21. Rams go top of the NFC West, a very tough division to be in. Camo, slap, NFC, where are you going?
JJ McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings.
No. His name's not JJ McCarthy. When he's playing football, his name's Nine. Nine, baby. That's his alter ego.
He's even more of a twat than I thought then. Okay. Yeah, Weird, because obviously we've been talking about Bryce Young saying give quarterbacks time. My thing with JJ McCarthy is it's more on the Vikings as a whole, but he went into an organization that has everything. There arguably wasn't a better landing spot for a QB than the Vikings. They have Justin Jefferson, 1 or 2 top wide receiver in the NFL. Addison, who is a very good number 2. Hawkinson, okay, he's been a bit down this season, and sort of Aaron Jones as a running back, and then a very good defense. And for me, he doesn't do enough. He doesn't do anything technically right. Talking to my brother yesterday, who's a Vikings fan, he says he hasn't actually converted a third down when he comes past this season.
Right.
He hasn't a third or fourth down. And obviously that is the money down, right? You have to convert there. And his deep balls are dangerous because they're inaccurate, overthrown, easy asking to be picked. Yeah, I don't think tough, but when you're going into an organization that has everything, this is where I believe the Vikings messed up. Was not obviously he came in, he got injured, he missed his whole rookie season. This is technically his second year, but he's actually only played 5 games, again due to injury this season. He just screams to me of someone that needs to sit and learn and even get on the practice field, because obviously when he was injured last year, he wouldn't have had that because he was injured.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for the Vikings, they had 2 of the better QBs this year in the building last year in Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I just think they've messed up there. Up to, again, what do they do next year? Because actually all you're doing at the minute is wasting years of this very talented roster that you've built that you can't hold on to, because each year people get more expensive. Players like Justin Jefferson, he's going to want something in his career. So I'm slapping McCarthy because I think he's wasted a very talented roster that I don't see him turning it around. He may do in years to come, but those players will not be there. And I haven't even spoken about this particular game, which was a very close one with interdivision with the Bears. But again, the way it ended was 19 to the Bears, 17 to the Vikings. McCarthy had 150 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and it was fair play to them. They came back and they scored a very, very late touchdown to actually go up. And then on the kickoff, they gave up a really big kick return, to which put them basically straight into field goal range to be able to win the game by 2 points.
Yeah.
I just think the Bears have been consistent. They've been good. They've just taken the top of the NFC North, which, is a bit wild. Caleb Williams was 16 of 32 to hit half his passes, 193 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah, it was a poor outing for both quarterbacks. And what I was going to say is the Bears have been clutch in the moments where they need to find a way to just scrape a win. I wouldn't say the Bears have been particularly good in any shape or form. Like Caleb Williams has been scrambling for his life. Yeah. That's the tale of both of these teams, I think, is that their defenses have put them into reasonably solid positions to be able to scrape a win, and they've scraped those wins when they can, and it has been a scrape. I can't really remember either of these teams this season having any kind of actual like eye test dominant performance. They've just been shit, and it was shit on shit. And somehow, weirdly, Lions aside, but equally got found out last night, which we'll talk about. This NFL NFC North is being heralded as a really tough division to be, and I actually don't think it is. I think it's tough for them being in the division with each other because there is it's
a close division. That's all it is.
It doesn't mean that they're the powerhouse division that they get spoken about, because every team in this division at some point this season has looked woeful. So the fact the Bears are top sort of explains that. And I think JJ McCarthy just has got no finesse, no touch, no nothing. Anything to say about the Vikings or the Bears? The Bears, Dave?
No, not really. Obviously, we were sat with Jeff X yesterday, who's a Vikings fan. It must be tough, especially when you've gone on to see what the likes of Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold have gone on to do. It must be frustrating for them, I guess, when you think you've got your guy. I mean, what can you do? You think you've got your guy, so you roll with your guy. But even looking at his like back at when he was at college, he was at Michigan. They were a dump-off team. They weren't a downfield throwing team. They were built behind that stout offensive and defensive line. They ran the ball loads. That's not like that. Isn't what the Vikings tend to do. He got very lucky, I think, this game with a load of Aaron Jones runs. Like these sort of little dump-off passes, and Aaron Jones were making people miss, which probably padded his stats a little bit. But
definitely,
was he really doing anything? I don't think he's that guy. I think we've all said that we don't think he's that guy. He looks young, not like face-wise looks young.
Yeah, he is. He came in young,
but you can tell that he's young. I don't think his game translates very well to the NFL.
No,
I think he'll struggle.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point in the fact that his collegiate game was to be a safe pair of hands, a steady quarterback to supplement the run game, and a strong defense. And in an essence, the Vikings have got some of that in the strong defense, great defensive coordinator. But you can't forget about the weapons that you've got that shouldn't be in a slow moving, check down, power run game that is JJ McCarthy, when you've got Jordan Addison, JJ, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. Like, you can't waste those types of players, because every time he seems to try and unleash something deep, it's way off the mark. It's very, very rare that he puts it on his man. So yeah, interesting from the Bears and the Vikings. Slappington goes to JJ McCarthy. I think most people on earth will agree with that one, Cam. I'm going to finish the NFC with a slap to a man who I actually respect a lot, and I think he's done wonders for his organisation. But this week, unfortunately, it's the way that the cookie crumbles. You deserve the slap, my friend, and I am giving that to Dan Campbell, the coach of the Detroit Lions. I'm slapping him really just because, one, he got embarrassed on offense by the Eagles. Two, his team has all the positional strength you could ever want. And so I don't know how they can lose games, frankly, when you look at the team that they've got. They've found a way to lose 4 times already this season. But it's the going for it on 4th down, getting rejected every time. So they went 4 times on 4th down in this game, early and late. And that is his MO, right? That is what he does. That is what Campbell does. When he wins and it pays off, he gets all the credit. So when it doesn't, I think you said this to me earlier, Cam, you also have to take the rough with the smooth. And this week, it just did not work. Poorly designed plays on 4th down, well executed by the Eagles to shut down the fourth down goes. And you just immediately putting your team into a risky position. You're not punting away, asking your team to then hold them at the 20 or the 10 or the 5. You're asking them to stop a very talented offense from getting any points at all with a very short field. And for the most part, they kind of did. The Lions only gave up 16 points. This was a poor performance. Again, all these Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night games recently have been poo. And I mean poo. I think if you added up all the scores combined in the last few weeks for those prime time games, you wouldn't reach the barn burner of 44-41, whatever the Bills game was the other day. 16-9. Sort it out. What kind of teams are you? These are teams that are like Super Bowl bound. And Eagles did really well on defense. I'm not taking it away. They played a great defensive game, but Jalen Hurts, 135 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Saquon with 26 carries for 80 yards. It's poor. And Jamar Gibbs, 12 carries for 39 yards. It's poor. He had good receiving yards, to be fair to him, but it made up for most of Jared Goff's actual yards for dumping it off to a speedster. And I'm just not impressed, I don't think, by a lot of teams this year. And again, it makes everything else more bittersweet. It makes the fact that the Seahawks losing by 2 to one of the best teams in NFL feel better. Being able to put points up in different places feeling better. It makes you feel like the shit teams can compete with the good teams on any given Sunday. As we've already said before, I just feel like I'm just not happy with the type of play we're getting from some of the bona fide Super Bowl contenders. It's just really poor. And Dan Campbell, have an ounce of humility. Take your huge gonads off the table maybe once every so often and just punt the ball away and try and give your team a little bit of something. It's eating him up in past NFC Championship games and stuff. You don't have to do it always. Sometimes just take the punt.
Yeah, and that's it. It's not like they were down big, needing to put points up. Sometimes the smart thing to do is take that field position. It finished a 1-score game. So yeah, that's him. He's taken all the plaudits before for it. That is how he likes to operate. Like you mentioned it earlier, the amount of teams going for it on 4th this season is higher than ever from this aggression that he puts in. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, he has some amazing, like I say, dump off balls, which he took downfield, cutting inside, amazing runs, but equated to nothingness. Well done, Eagles. Is that?
I guess so.
It's a big win for the Eagles, right? They are.
It's just annoying, though, isn't it? It's annoying to watch when you think that we're getting treated. We're getting given this.
That's a proper threat.
A threat rate good. We'll be given this game to watch. That's the former Super Bowl champions or the current Super Bowl champions against a team that everybody kind of wants to get there. They're an NFC championship caliber team.
I mean, coming into the season, we said they were the top 2 teams in the NFC.
Yeah, that's what we get. We get given that, and the fact that it was also basically decided by another douchebag ref call. A pass interference call that was so notional that I thought the Chiefs were playing. It was that bad, that egregious. Yeah. And I'm just sick of it now. Like, I'm sick of a few things. I'm sick of the refs. I'm sick of a lot of the commentating as well. Like, have some balls to call these players out for if they're playing football, call it out. Nobody cares if you want to be their best friend. Like, I'm not bothered. I had to watch the Titans game on mute because that Mark Schlereth, or whatever his name is, he was an offensive lineman, I think, for the Broncos. I don't even know who he was. He's won Super Bowls or whatever. But he's talking about quarterback play. Shut up, you fat mess. You are not a quarterback. If I want to hear quarterback play, I'll listen to Tom Brady or Troy Aikman. If I want to hear someone glaze a team, I'll go and watch Tony Romo talk about the Chiefs. Why is he still being given Chief games?
I don't know.
Stop doing it. It's
kind of preposterous now. Yeah.
I have to put it on mute.
Yeah.
I watched the entire Titans game on mute because I could not stand listening to this guy. Just because you're an ex-player, and I'm not trying to claim that I'm some all-seeing eye, some font of knowledge that nobody else knows. I've got the inside thing. Just because you're a player does not mean you know every position. If you're an offensive lineman, talk about offensive lines, you fat mess. I'm sick of hearing. I hate him. I've hated him for so many years now, but Tony Romo's the same. He needs to either get gone or they can't put him on Chiefs games anymore. It's outrageous. They're getting absolutely battered by the Broncos defense, and he's still glazing Mahomes. He needs to shut his mouth. I'm sick of it.
Very passionate.
Anyway, Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's an idiot. Sorry, that's why I tuned in to say Dan Campbell's an idiot. Just there's nothing more annoying when a team stalls out on, say, like the halfway line, they elect a punt and they put you on your 1 or 2 yard line. It really annoys me when they do it to the Titans. So why don't he just do that to teams?
Yeah.
You've got a good defense. Allow your defense to play. Yeah, they might go 99 yards and score a touchdown. But the chances are they're probably not, because when they're on their 1 or 2 yard line or inside the 5, the playbook is so tiny because all they're trying to do is essentially get space for the kicker to punt the ball. he's not going for a down the field bomb, is he? But no, he's annoying. It is annoying watching that. Like, there's no need to go for it on 4th down 4 times and not get any of them.
No, it's poor. Poor
That's probably
coaching.
why. It's probably why he gave up the play calling duties to start off with.
Yeah.
And now he's taken them back. He's like, that we're in this oodle, observe, orientate, decide, act. This constant loop that he goes through in his mind of like a monkey banging two like symbols together or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to agree. And you have to, as a leader as well, understand situational, not just football, but as a leader, you've got to understand situations no matter what you're doing, whether it's football, whether it's war, whether it's, at work. You need to understand where you need to direct yourself, and just doing the same thing mindlessly over and over again because it might have worked once upon a time doesn't mean that that's the way to do it. So yeah, Dan Campbell gets it, and more to the point, 9 points from the Lions is a travesty. That team's built to score points. So, and again, it made me feel I'm not worried. Like, I'm not worried about any team in the NFC right now. Not one team in the NFC worries. Like, if you were to play them, if the Seahawks were to play the Eagles or the Packers or the Lions or the Rams, worry me most because it's the one that's got Sam Darnold like crossing his eyes and seeing ghouls all over the pitch. But aside from that, I'm not worried about any. It seems every team has shown so much vulnerability this year in the NFC that I feel like they could get beat by anybody. It's weird, but that's my 2 pence on it. Let's shoot into the AFC, speed this one up a little bit. AFC, let's go with signs. And I guess I'll take this one first. And I'm going to sign somebody all the way back from Thursday Night Football from Amazon Prime Time. And I'm signing Trayvon Henderson from the New England Patriots. They were playing the Jets, so of course the Patriots are going to beat the lowly Jets. But Trayvon Henderson, I think we spoke about it last week, is a running back that I was watching coming out of college, very high on. Didn't expect, my team to take him or anything, but I was interested to see where he landed because I thought, him at the Bills, him at the Chiefs, him, somewhere would be somewhere would be tasty. And it turns out him at the Patriots is tasty. And for the first time this year properly, is he getting some snaps and being allowed to play. Last week, he had 2 rocket runs. And I think, Camo, you signed him last week, actually. This week, I'm signing him. He had 2 more touchdowns, 62 yards on the ground, another 30 through the air, and a touchdown through the air as well. So 3 touchdowns in this game for him as a rookie, stepping in ahead of some more established running backs and helping the Patriots to 9-2. I don't care if it was against the Jets or whoever it's against. The Patriots have built something that's pretty damn nice. And yeah, I'm impressed. Trayvon Henderson's is the boy. They obviously beat the Jets 27-14. The Patriots have got a fairly, it's called easy schedule, but still NFL football. You still got to get the job done, and they're doing it every week. And now they've found a balance. You can run, you can pass. Stephon Diggs, Trayvon Henderson. It's looking good for the Patriots, man.
Yeah, no, they're like you say, doesn't matter who they play, they're scoring points and getting wins. That's all you can ask for. Let's say they've got a fairly favourable schedule the rest of the season as well. But who cares? They've already racked up 9 wins. So yeah, look forward to seeing what they do in the playoffs.
For sure. Over to Dave. I want your AFC sign.
I am signing the Titans defense this week, which is strange to say because we lost. We're now 1-9. Mm-hmm. However, the Texans coming into this game with the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL, and we shut them out for a half. And we've done this quite a lot. The defense is, considering how badly the offense has played, the defense has actually played pretty well all year. And getting back Big Simmons and having him and Tavondre Sweat in the middle, it's pretty effective, We kept them 75 rushing yards. We're actually winning 3-0 at halftime. They then scored 16 points in the second half. But, they can't keep it up all day. But I just think that there are a lot of bad things going on with the Titans. You know, the special teams. We had a load of injuries this week as well, which really scuppered me. Calvin Ridley's broke his leg, so he's out for the season. Not that he's done anything all year, but ironically caught the first pass of the game, got tackled and broke his leg. So that was a great start. DK, our kick returner, I think he's actually leading the league in all-purpose yards. He went out straight away as well with a concussion. So I don't know what's happening with him. But that left us with Mason Kinsey as our number one wide receiver threat. Now, we had Van Jefferson, in case you know who he is. I think he was popular about 5 years ago. We've got a bit of a mishmash of receivers and stuff, so the offense was a little bit stifled, as it has been all year. But the defense, to keep the Texans team, which, although people may think Davis Mills is an absolute mongoloid, CJ Stroud still in concussion protocol, Davis Mills has actually got a really good record in the NFL. And it doesn't take much to get their offense going. You know, they've got Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz had a really good game. Some dude called Jaden Higgins, don't even know who he is, but he's not a big lanky youth like Nico Collins.
Rookie this year, but I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah, and like I say, it's more about the defense than anything else. And I think that actually looking at it, I can't look at it objectively because I'm a Titans fan. We've got no cornerbacks at all, none. We've got one called Ajarius Sneed. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's won like 2 Super Bowls with it.
Really good until
he got paid like $20 million a year, and apparently doesn't want to actually play anymore. So he sits in tracksuits, doesn't even really come to the games anymore. And now he's in trouble with the police as well. So he's a good dude. But actually, outside of that, looking at our core players that probably will be retained this year, Cedric Gray's been a monster in his second year as a middle linebacker. He tackles everything. Cody Barton's been great. And then Jeffrey Simmons and Travondre Sweat are obviously going to be our key things. We got rid of Draymond Jones, which was a bit of a shitter. We traded him to the Ravens, I think he went.
Yeah, he went there and got a sack in his first game there, I think.
Yeah, shock. But Arden Key's back as well now, and he had a sack and a half. Jeffrey Simmons had a sack this week, and Cody Barton a sack. So we're getting through decent teams' offensive lines, but we've just not got enough quality across the board to do anything with it. But I think to keep the Texans to 16 points and actually be at the end of it, I mean, they won it with a walk-off field goal. So we were in this game until the last
it was tight.
10 seconds.
There was a time where I thought you might win it.
Yeah, and I think outside of offense and special teams, the defense is actually pretty good. Like I said, last year they were the number 1 ranked defense. If they can keep that, add a few pieces, hopefully the defense, we can kind of have like that Seahawks defense where everyone gets involved. We need to find some cornerbacks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a close game. These are the games.
Yeah, 16-13. That's a game.
My missus messaged me and was like, "Did you watch the Titans game?" I said, "Yeah, obviously." I said, losing a game like this is the best way to lose it. Against a team that is actually a good team. They might not be playing necessarily like a good team at the minute, but to lose by a field goal is kind of how you want to do it. A last second field goal. Because 1, it still keeps us in the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And 2, you can kind of take a little bit away from it.
Massively. It is what you essentially 1-8, now 1-9 want to be doing as a Titans team. It's unfortunate that that's what you want to be doing, but it is. But when you look at what you've been able to do, you've played a lot of teams, not every team, but you've played a lot of teams close this year. It shows that your defense is something. It also shows that your coaching is something on defense, because sometimes it's just having the right scheme in place that you can then bolster with more talent. So I think that it's a real positive. And then, I guess the issue is, being able to put points up on the other side. But we know what the Titans are at the moment. They're nothing outside of Cam Ward, and even Cam Ward himself has not had any time to prove anything because he hasn't got the players. So it's a case of build, and show moments of quality, which I think in this game was exactly that. Showed moments of quality on both offense, defense, mainly defense. Kept a very good Texans team to 13 points until the final second for a game-winning field goal, and make yourself a nuisance, which is fair, and it's a fair sign, because Titans have had a lot of shit this year, and you got to find those diamonds in the rough. So yeah, fair play, Dave. I enjoy that. I equally think, and this is no besmirchment to the Titans, I equally have lost so much respect for the Texans. Like, not because of this game, just this season. Like the quality of player that they've got on this team, and we spoke about it in recent poddies, so I won't go into it, but it's outrageous. It's outrageous the talent they've got. And with CJ Stroud in concussion, would it have been different if he'd have played? Probably not massively different. So they're underperforming heavily, and that needs to change if they want to be relevant.
Yeah, I mean, and this is again, we've got a porous offensive line. It's awful. And they didn't get sacked to the fourth quarter. Then they did get a strip sack because I think
strip sack recovery by Will Anderson. Yeah, I mean, he's one of one. He's an amazing player.
Well, him and Daniil Hunter on both sides. Like, what do you do?
Cry if it was me.
Yeah, they've got a great defense. Obviously, Derek Stingley, Cam Ward actually went at him a little bit, which I thought was crazy. But I do think the more, again, I obviously see him quite a lot. I do think he gets a lot of them. He's getting a lot of calls based on his name, or non-calls based on his name.
Stingley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He holds on every single play. Like, he'll follow a player down the field and he'll hold his arm the whole way. He doesn't get called. It actually did get called on this, and it looked like he was about to cry because he got pinged for a pass interference penalty. And even it kind of flicked from his face to the head coach's face, and he was just like, you could see in his face, he was like, "Yeah, fair one."
Yeah,
but yeah, it is frustrating when you're playing against these players that are. This is what it says. Poo teams don't get the calls. You know, these good teams get all the calls, and the poo teams don't, and that's just the way it is because of these fanboy refs.
So true
about refs, though.
Yeah,
but yeah,
cool. Okay, Camo, where are you going? AFC sign.
I'm signing a player that I've got very little respect for, but he continues to play every week and dominates. And particularly this season, for me, he does just completely show up. I'm signing Myles Garrett. And
you've got respect for Myles Garrett?
Not for his choices, no.
Okay, fine. For staying in Cleveland, fair enough. I understand that one. I was thinking, how can you not respect Myles Garrett? He will find you and he will pull your arms off like a gorilla.
Let him try. So Myles Garrett with this one.
I'm soundbite clipping that, going to @Myles Garrett in our next post. Camo says, "Let him try" to Myles Garrett. That's the quote. Camo says, "Let him try." See,
also, Myles Garrett, we're in America. We're flying to America on Thursday, so we're going to narrow the gap for you. You just need to make your way to Tennessee.
We'll be in Tennessee, Broadway, Friday night. Come and try, and pulls Cam's arms off. Sorry, Cam, carry on.
Just watch it. But in this game, he got 4 sacks, and he and this Browns defense, they just show up. And they make the games really difficult for teams. Ultimately, they end up losing this game 16 points to 23 to the Ravens. But if this team had any form of offense, the game was there for them because they were harassing Lamar Jackson into bad picks, dirty sacks. I mean, Lamar wasn't helped by receivers not catching the ball, batting it up in the air, and it being caught by defenders and taken back for a pick 6. But this defense just suffocates teams. But Myles Garrett is obviously the leader of the team, gets all of the money, and I mean, another 4 sacks this season. Is he now leading the league in sacks this season?
Oh yeah, by
by
a long way
2
now.
or 3 now. Yeah.
And
yes, he does it week in, week out.
He does.
The question that was asked earlier, is McCaffrey a Hall of Famer? Is Myles Garrett a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and say absolutely no way.
He is. He's already got a gold jacket, Cam, much to your dismay. He definitely has.
I don't know.
Let me look at his stats.
Of course he is. I mean,
he's the youngest under the age of sacks
this year. He's got 15 this season.
Okay.
Look for 7 games left.
It's amazing.
God.
They've won 2 games.
Yeah, but a defensive end is not a player that makes you win a game. Like he's just a defensive end. Like if you look at every defensive end stat, he's leading. Like he's beaten the most to 100 sacks, most to 115 sacks, most sacks under 30, most sacks. Like he's
played in 1 playoff game.
Yeah, but that doesn't like a Hall of Fame for a defensive end. This is I understand what you're saying, but wins don't like there'll be defensive players that aren't like perennial Super Bowl winners that have just dominated. He is a force. Like I don't think I've seen a player quite like him. I don't think in the NFL. Can't think of a player at his position that I have witnessed with my own eyes. JJ Watt.
I would say I would take JJ Watt over him.
As what, a D end?
Yeah.
What you saying Darnold's a DT?
I mean, you could include Darnold in that conversation, and who would I have? I'd have Aaron Donald. Sorry. So yeah, there's one. Aaron Donald is better than Myles Garrett, and he's got a Super Bowl, so he's obviously going to Hall of Fame.
JJ Watt was better.
Did he win a Super Bowl, Cam?
He did not. No.
Did he win many playoff games? No.
He was in a lot more.
He was in a few.
Yeah. And what he meant, was it 2014 season was disgusting.
Myles Garrett's 2025 season might be disgusting.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one to say because I don't think you can judge any defensive player on things like playoff games I mean, you could probably...
He's barely going to amount to 20 wins in his career.
Yeah, maybe. But again, I'm not entirely sure how much you put on that on him. And then you look at the quarterbacks he's played with, whereas Aaron Donald had Jared Goff that got him to a Super Bowl, and then they had Matt Stafford that won him a Super Bowl. But I understand where you're coming from, Cam. Like, it is difficult with defensive players, but ultimately I think he'll be when you look at his numbers, he's going to have a load of sacks. He's won Defensive Player of the Year. He's a 4-time All-Pro, and he's only 29. He could keep this up for another 4 or 5 years. He's definitely more up for debate than JJ Watt. JJ Watt had 3 years where he was just like absolutely, like he had his whole career where he dominated, but it's 3 real dominant seasons.
Yeah,
whereas I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, isn't he? 15 sacks. He's got 7 games to get. If he averages 1 sack a game till the end of the season, he'll tie the record.
Right.
So he needs 8 sacks to break it. It's 22.5, isn't it?
It's 2 games on the pace that he's playing at this point in time.
Well, he's at a 5 and a 4, isn't he?
5 and a 4. He only needs 2 good games, and he's there, which is crazy. No, fair play, Cam. Fair play, and it's a good conversation to have for sure. When he comes and finds you in Nashville, you can also tell him that he's not going to get a gold jacket either.
Absolutely.
I love this false confidence. I'm staying in this game, so we can now move into slaps. And so segueing into this Browns-Ravens game, 16 to the Browns, 23 to the Ravens in Camo, as you said, it was there to be won. But I am slapping the quarterback room of the Cleveland Browns. Dylan Gabriel and Shadur overrated Sanders both played in this game because Gabriel got injured. Gabriel was 7 of 10 for 68 yards and no touchdowns. Shadur Sanders was 4 of 16, 47 yards, 2.9 yards a throw, and an interception, no touchdowns. One of the worst passing performances I've ever seen from a quarterback, never mind from a star-studded, star-spangled prodigy son of prime time who has entered the league supposed to be being this under-evaluated superstar that should have been drafted way higher and proved that he is god-awful and lost them the game, turned the ball over. The Browns actually would have been better in this game if they'd not had a quarterback. That's it. Play Wildcat the entire game with your running backs, and I bet you they'd have finished with better points than what they did in this, because it looked awful from start to finish. How bad is it that your quarterback room is now this? It is some nobody from Oregon and some nobody from a backwards school that came into the league way overpriced because his dad is like a legend of football. And you're the Browns, like you're just so stinky. 2-8. And I get the whole Myles Garrett thing, Cam, because it just feeds into the stinkiness of this Browns that they've got players like him, and they had players like Odell and Baker Mayfield that they've just let walk out the door because their fan base and their front office is atrocious. and they've gifted another win. It was a really poor performance from Baltimore, I thought. Didn't think it was great. Like, they're on a full resurgence, 5-5 now. We predicted that they would, if there was any player that needed to and could win 10 games in a row to come back and be 10-5, it was Lamar, and he's probably going to do it, to be honest. So they'll be relevant in January.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well,
that's it.
Well, ironically, I am also slapping someone from this game.
Okay, cool.
Well, I'm not, but it feeds very nicely into what you were just saying. I'm slapping the fans, the Browns fans.
Okay.
Their fan base. What a stupid fan base. What a real bad fan base that these have got. And should Sanders had everybody believing, I should have been playing. He should be playing. Why are we playing this midget Gabriel? Let's put Shador Sanders in. And then he comes in and just does that. I could not have been more happy. If the Titans had won by 400 points, I would have been less happy at that than I was at him shitting the bed. He was god awful, and he had a great amount of time to play as well. Just so you couldn't have been like, oh well, he's not had much time to play. He had plenty of time in this game and he didn't do nothing with it. He looked awful. Missing throws. Oh, he was awful. Threw it to nothing. Threw it to the grass.
Super immobile as well. Like, against NFL players, he didn't look like, he looked like he's running in mud.
Yeah, and I love the fact, I'm going to go on YouTube after this, because all these pundits, Shannon Sharp, all these players, and I'm not saying it's a race thing, but they're making it out to be a race thing. Yeah. About why he's not being played, that Kevin Stefanski is somehow racist. I'm not being funny. Most of the NFL is not white.
They've come out and just said it's just a tool. That's
well, he obviously is, because nobody wanted to draft him, and apparently it was forced on Stefanski, and it was the GM and that all drafted him.
Right.
And I want them all now to realise and come out and be like, do you know what? We were wrong. This guy sucks. The guy that was like had a negative record in school, in college, and only was the quarterback in college because his dad was the head coach. He wouldn't have got in anywhere else. Nobody else would have wanted him. And he looked into having these generational talents around him, Travis Hunter. And so the slap is the Browns fan base, because the one guy they had there that took them from being a bottom feeding team that had not won in like 2 years. Do you remember when they had all them, the Bud Light fridges or whatever it was in all the places in Cleveland that were meant to like open, like this time lock on them that would open whenever the Browns won a game. Yeah. And they won that game because of Baker Mayfield. Yeah. And they kicked their feet, smashed the chairs. We don't want him, get rid of him. Odell's right, he keeps missing Odell. Really? Well, that ended up well for you all, didn't it? And Baker Mayfield's now leading a team into the playoffs again. Won the division again, or like maybe, but last year won the division again.
Yeah.
And they're stuck with Masseuse Fiddler, Deshaun Watson, who's a fat version of his Texan self, and these two jabronis. These two absolute frog-eyed jabronis. Dylan Gabriel, who can't see over a load of high schoolers at about 5'4". Shador Sanders, who looks like he's got Tua brain, spaghetti brain. I absolutely love it. I do. And then you've got Miles going, I just want to win. I took $400 million to stay here. You could have gone anywhere, big lad.
Yeah.
People would have given up 3 first-round picks for you, and you wanted to stay there. On to Cam's point, you wanted to stay there, and guess what? Enjoy every second of it, because them two ain't winning nothing.
No chance.
He can sack a quarterback 4 times in a game.
Yeah, he
can.
I mean, let's be fair. He is the only thing that is good about the Browns.
Yeah,
they probably got some. I like Junkins, their running back. I think he's quite cool.
That new linebacker Schlesinger's pretty tasty as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
Denzel Ward's good.
Denzel Ward's a baller. Devin Bush obviously had a great pick 6.
And Njoku should go to a different team.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Even the kicker's a bit of a spazzo, isn't he? But yeah, the Browns, man, the Browns, they deserve everything they get. They've had the opportunity ample times. They've had number 1 picks.
Yeah,
and when you get, I love every second of it. And they're in a division. Oh, they're never going to be relevant. Because they're never going to be better than the Steelers. They're never going to be better than the Ravens.
No.
Oh, and they're never going to be better than the Bengals.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow's healthy, then they've got no chance. So they're always going to be
I'd
stinking.
take Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
They had Joe Flacco
yeah,
Crazy.
after this season. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
What a weird decision. So yeah, fans slapped, quarterbacks slapped. Camo, you're the last man standing for an AFC Slappington Stanley. Don't make it a Browns team.
I say you make me want to slap someone from the Browns, but I don't know who's left, so I'm not going to slap anyone from there. I'm going to slap Big Herbie. Good old
Herbert.
Yeah, because the inconsistent, is he good? Is he not? Are the Chargers good? Are they not? Are the Jags good? Are they not? Who knows? But in this game, Herbert managed to turn the ball over, only put up 6 points, and got absolutely dominated, destroyed, shut down by the Jags to the point where, yeah, it was not a good look. It was not a good look. It was not a good outing. And I mean, like I say, only putting up 6 points when you are top contender in the AFC. We've had this discussion before. What are they? Don't know. But yeah, it really was not a good game. And the Jags put up 30 odd points on them.
Yeah,
absolutely shut them down. Like their Jags defense looked really, really good. Josh Hines-Allen became the all-time sack leader for their franchise.
For the Jags. Yeah,
which, I mean, he's class. Big fan of him. But yeah, as this top offense, top quarterback, you've been paid the money. He couldn't do anything.
No.
Every time he tried to move was getting hit. Overthrew balls, got picked off, and just makes you question what it is, because this Jags team, we've seen them. Yeah, they've won some games this season, but they've also looked terrible, and they were never in this game. The Chargers were never in this game. They didn't look like they could do anything.
I mean, 6 points. 6 points is just atrocious, isn't it? We're from a team that's got Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, Quinton Johnson, and then Justin Herbert. 6 points is embarrassing, and you're right, Cam. And 35 points, so it's 35-6 in the end. Jags just dominated. They at one point I saw they had 30 minutes time of possession to the Chargers like 4. And it was like, how I don't think I've ever heard or seen that before. And they were just pounding the rock. That's why, just running it. Bashal Tutin and Travis Etienne just moving that ball. I think they had 150 or 60 yards between them and 3 touchdowns, as well as a touchdown on the ground for Lawrence. They just basically decided, we're going to run the ball today. That's what we're going to do. Chargers can't stop it. Done. And their defense is great.
Chargers O-line is, obviously, we know it's been battered and beaten up and bruised and injured this season. But you put pressure on them, they fold, they collapse. And Herbert doesn't look like he's got the ability or the quickness to adapt to that.
I mean, who has? I guess if you're getting that.
Well, this is the difference, isn't it? This is the difference between Herbert and Josh Allen, and two quarterbacks that are essentially built exactly the same. Both 6'5", 6'6", big. They can run the ball. One does it and wills his team to a win. The other just absolutely collapses if it's not on his. If he can't throw the ball 40 times, then they can't do anything, And there's plenty of teams that have got banged up offensive lines or banged up teams that are still managing to go out there and be competitive. There was nothing competitive about this game. It was pathetic, and it cost me big time in fantasy as well.
Yeah, it definitely did. With Herbert, I mean, how many yards did he have for the day?
81.
Oh, that
he
is
4 points, 4 fantasy points.
Didn't he have like 4 completions as well all day or something?
10 completions, 1 interception, 81 yards. That is really, really, really bad. The only good thing about Justin Herbert yesterday is that he probably got home and had a cuddle from Madison Beer. And that would probably make most people feel a lot better about themselves. But he actually shouldn't, because that's one of the worst performances from a top quarterback in a long while. Less than 100 yards.
Looking in his bank account as well, I'm sure that would.
His bank's probably pretty.
Hurt him up a bit.
Okay, cool. End of slap or sign. We got through a number of games. There's just a couple that I want to touch upon before we get out of here. I guess the one to talk about now is the Chiefs versus Broncos. And this was in Denver. The Chiefs needed a win to be able to keep climbing that AFC West, but they just could not get it. The Broncos beat the Chiefs 22-19. This was a torrid affair of zero offense, mainly defense. To Dave's point, a lot of Tony Romo spouting how good Mahomes is, even when Mahomes is not looking good. Travis Kelce looks like he's found maybe a 2-year-old younger version of himself, but aside from that, the Chiefs have got nothing. Bo Nix played a solid game, but it's this Broncos defense, man, that's winning them games. They are 9-2 now, and we've spoke about how bluff they are, how some of the teams, nearly all the teams they've played this year, have been bottom-feeding teams. I didn't bet this week, but I would have bet that the Chiefs would have put a hurting on the Broncos, and it's sort of have changed my perspective on them, because I still think Bo Nix is a spotty weirdo. But to beat the Chiefs and to be top of that division, but now by 4 games against the Chiefs, 3 or 2 games against the Chargers, I think the Broncos have done. It's not over, but I think the Broncos have done what they need to get into the playoffs and feel good about playing any team in the AFC. Maybe the Bills would be too much for that defense, just because the Bills are such a hard team to contain because of Josh Allen. But I don't know. The Broncos have gone from maybe not being legit to maybe being legit, Dave.
I think they are what we always thought they were. You know, it's a heavily defense reliant team. I don't think they've got the offense to hang with. I think the Colts would absolutely pump them in the playoffs because they're balanced on both sides. They can run the life out of the ball, and they've got the weapons to throw the ball down the field. I think in the playoffs that would be a massive win for them. I couldn't be more happy. The Chiefs are completely turning into this irrelevant team. When was the last time has Mahomes ever been 6-5 if they lose next week?
No,
not this deep into the season.
No. I don't think they've ever been down more than 2. I think I don't think they've ever had more than 2 losses. I think when they went 0-2, it was like the first time Mahomes has ever had a -2, whatever it is. But I could be wrong. They might have lost 3 on the bounce somewhere, but I don't think so. And this doesn't look good. It does not look good for the Chiefs. And as we've said in many a podcast and many a time this season, if you're not good and you're not playing good football, which the Chiefs really aren't at the moment, like they've played more bad than good, then fine. Like, cool. Be nice to see a playoff this year without them. You know, it's different. They can't hold on to that dynasty. I think that loss against the Eagles, and such a bad loss, has just like kicked them in the teeth. And I even think like Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid maybe not all that. They definitely are. They're amazing. They'll be Hall of Famers. But I think this season everybody's trying to struggle on the Chiefs. I think they're finding it hard to find a new version of themselves.
Yeah, and I think again, it's similar to the Bills. You know, they've got they've got 0 run game. They've got no running back of any worth. And I get it. I get that it's difficult to put these pieces in place when you're paying your quarterback, your tight end, loads and loads of money. But maybe it's time just to be like to Kelce, look, mate, you need to take a home team discount. Otherwise, we can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And same for Mahomes. I know it's great having all this money and being paid 70 million a year or whatever. Is there that much more you can do with 70 that you can't do with 50?
Actually, have a team that paid, is he? Like,
not yet, but he's going to be.
Is he about to be? Yeah.
And I think that they've not put anything around him, you know. And I'm not a Chiefs lover. I despise them. But who are the wide receivers are nothing. Like they're not anything worth. They're not like writing home about, you know.
Yeah, no, none of them.
Everyone was banging on about, wait till they get Rashee Rice back. Wait till they get Rashee Rice back. What did he do?
He made a difference, but he's not a game changer. Like, he made a difference. It was like, they've got an actual functional receiver back, and that's about as far as it went. Whereas it's not the same as getting a JSN or a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson or whatever. It's not going to change the game that much. But yeah, no, it's one that puts the Chiefs into real disarray because they're now level, 5-5 in a AFC that's fairly stacked, and there's going to be a lot of teams trying to get through. So we'll see how that goes. Another game we didn't speak about was the game in Espanol, hard for me to say. And the Washington Commanders played the Dolphins. We were watching this, Dave, as we mentioned, in Hickories with the boys. It was a stinker. It finished 16-13. It meant that we could focus on eating food, drinking beer, and talking shy. There's not a lot to say about this game other than Devon Achane was like the chain mover, and no pun intended. But there was nothing else in this game. No excitement, barely any points scored. These international games, and sorry to the Spanish people, I know we've got a few Spanish listeners, or a couple, but if you went to the game, I'm sure it was amazing. Bernabéu is an elite stadium in the world of stadiums, but that's not the game that you want to see in Spain, is it? You don't want to see a 16-13 Mariota-led Commanders take on a spaghetti-brained Tua. That's not right. That's not what gets you salsa dancing.
No, and I think we said it at the time, didn't we? When I don't know how far in the future these games are planned, but if they were planning them, say at the start of last season, they were like, the two really good teams to send over to Spain would be the Wind Sox and the Potato Head and these Dolphins. There'll be two really good teams to get the Spanish involved, And then obviously you look actually 12 months down the line, the Commanders have been horrible and the Dolphins have been horrible, and that's what they get tracked to. It is really bad. Like, they should be able to flex teams, but like, listen, Bills, Patriots, have a guess what? Get your bags packed. You're going over there. I imagine a lot of it has to be done in advance because a lot of that kit will have been sent over way in advance.
Yeah, and all the media and stuff. But I guess for the greater good, to bring the spectacle, they'll probably do it, won't they? Just because it is what it is. But I'd be against some of these more random EU locational games, and maybe that's just me being totally ignorant as an Englishman in the UK. But like, I don't know, how relevant is a game in Sydney and in Madrid, and then maybe in like Porto, Portugal next year or the year after, or one day they'll be playing a game in frickin' Greenland or something. They'll be like, yeah, come to this 25-seater stadium in Greenland. NFL's been invited to Turkmenistan or whatever it is.
I think that's what they're trying to do, aren't they? They're trying to prove that it's a global game when in reality it's not. Yeah, it's an American game that a real small percentage of people outside America per country actually like it. That's why you can still get tickets to these games the day of the game. They're not sold out. They're not massively. They obviously are really, really, really high in demand, but they're not sold out. These places, and I think all they're trying to do is be like, look, we can put a game on in Rio. Mate, you could put a game on in the Moon, and there'd be people that want to come and watch it because it's football. All it actually does is mess everyone's weekend around. Yeah. Instead of getting shit from the missus at 6 o'clock, I'm now getting it at 2:30. You're just increasing the amount of like abuse I'm getting. Same with the Christmas Day ones. I love the Christmas Day games.
Yeah, me too.
It does cause an argument though. There's an argument that's waiting to be had because I want to watch basketball and American football on Christmas Day when I should be spending it with family. Cheers for that.
Yeah, one way or another, NFL's going on the 25th of December. That's just the way it goes.
Like it or lump it.
Like it or lump it. Camo, let's finish with you and the Green Bay Packers winning 27-20 against the Jameis Winston-led New York Football Giants. Take us home.
Dog shit game. Got the win, but had some injuries in this one. Josh Jacobs has gone out, which obviously is our leading touchdown scorer for the season, and so he's out injured. We'll see how bad that one is. But again, the Giants made this tough on us, and we also made this tough on ourselves because we can't catch balls. Our receivers love to either not even go up for a ball or be hit by the ball and not catch the football. So I don't know what else you can really do as a quarterback when you're putting it in all the positions that you need to, but your players just drop balls. I think we had like 7 like legitimate drop balls in this one.
Do you know, because your wide scrubs, because your wide, sorry, you coughed over me calling your wide receivers scrubs.
Right. Yeah.
Christian Watson is a good receiver.
He's been...
There was some desperate balls on this one, and I don't know how Jordan Love got away with it. I heard on one podcast earlier today that somebody said that they thought
it was the best game of best game. Yep, I've seen a number of people say that.
Yeah, well, they probably looked at the stats.
That drive which resulted in the touchdown to Christian Watson was whatever it was, but yeah, it was a tough game. Apparently, we can't kick footballs anymore either. Let's not even try. Let's just go for 2 points moving forward, because we love to miss an extra point or two.
It was windy.
It was windy.
Very windy.
It was windy, and it was a shocker. But yeah, it was not a good look. We managed to close the game out because Jameis Winston drove down the field, threw a pick in the end zone. They then actually got the ball back, but Micah Parsons stripped the ball from Jameis Winston to end the game. But yeah, a very bad... We are very stagnant at the minute. Our defense is doing well and holding teams to very few points. Our offense looks lost and bewildered. I don't know if it's play calling, don't know if it's players not being able to catch balls. It's a combination of everything. There is just no rhythm on the offensive side of the ball. I generally think Jordan Love is best when he is throwing the ball down the field. We haven't been doing that much this season. We need to be able to try and get play action involved more. We needed a win, and we got a win, but yeah, it wasn't much to take from it apart from that. We've got 3 big games coming up next, all in division, against the Lions, Bears and Vikings, so that'll be a big tell of how our season ends. But yeah, I'm not super happy with that performance at all.
A win's a win, I guess, and it's always the case. If a good team playing badly can still win, you kind of got to be happy, although you don't see it.
I get it, but it's not being
Packers privilege. Me and Dave sat here, teams got blown out, Packers privilege.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're the only team that won. Cool. That's everything. That is everything for today. That is our recaps done. Tonight, we've got Monday Night Football, which is the Cowboys taking on the Vegas Raiders. 2 very different teams, both trying to build some form of momentum. So we will see how that goes, and we'll post something to our socials after that game. But for now, that's a wrap on Week 11. Football is Loco. We've seen NFL hit Spain for the first time, and a game of the week, Bucs and Bills next week. We are in Week 12. Thank you all for listening. Massive thanks, Dave, Camo, for jumping on. Everyone else, hit us up at In The End Zone UK. Tell us your slaps, your signs, and your favourite Spanish phrases. But until next time, football is live. Peace.
Goodbye, yeah?
Catch me balling like I'm in the end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.